Good morning, Nancy. Great. How are you today? I hope that everyone here is fine. Good morning, Mrs. Horya. How are you today?
Good morning, I'm fine. What about you?
I'm great, thank you. Tell me, what are your plans for tonight, Mrs. Horya?
Actually, usually I watch a film and order a pizza, but tonight I'm going to the mall.
Great.
What about you?
Well, normally I play cards with my family and eat snack, but tonight I'm going out.
Oh, great.
So, what you just heard was an example of a conversation mixing simple present and present continuous. So today's lesson will focus on correctly using each of these tenses as well as how to structure them. Let's get started with Mrs. Faria.
Tenses are simply the way we talk about time in English, the past, the present, and the future. So, in this lesson, we are going to talk about the present simple in English, and they are present simple and present continuous. Simple present tense is used for is used to talk about permanent situations and facts, habits, and to express actions that taking place right now.
Let's look at some examples. I live in London. Now, that's a permanent situation. Another example, the earth revolves around the sun. Now, that's a fact. It doesn't change. Anybody here knows that the earth revolves around the sun. Okay, I get up early in the morning every day. Now that's a habit and routine, activities that happen frequently. Let's see another example. The boy sings a song. Now that's a action that happens at the present moment. That's it. Let's move on and see what about the structure with Mrs. Huria.
Okay, the structure of the present simple is subject plus verb plus s or es.
This is the structure, but you should remember when the subject of a sentence is he, she, or it, we need to add an s or es to the end of the verb in the present simple. For example,
He plays football. She watched a film.
but when the subject is I, we, you, or they, we don't need to add an s or es to the end of the verb. Simply, we put only the verb. For example,
I play football. They watch a film.
that's it.
Okay.
Let's move on. Let's talk about a possible negative usage for the present simple tense with Mrs. Huria.
The structure is subject plus do not or does not plus verb plus object. For example, Mike eats bread. Mike doesn't eat bread.
Okay. The first example, I put an S at the end of it because the subject here is Mike, which is a he. Now, that's not a negative statement. When I want to turn it into negative statements, I change it like this. Mike doesn't eat bread. So you will not hear that I didn't put the S at the end of the verb. Instead, I added doesn't. I took does and not, and I turn it into contraction by combining the two and making it does it.
So the subject is he, she, or it. We we use doesn't or does not to make it negative. But if the subject is I, we, you, or they, we use don't or do not to make it negative. Like you swim well, you don't swim well.
Okay, that's it. Let's move on. Now, I will talk about one possible question from the present simple tense, and that's it. Is by using do or does. What about the structure, Mrs. Horya?
The structure is do or does plus subject plus verb plus object. For example, they live here. When we want to make it a question, do they live here?
Okay. In order to make it a question, I added do to the beginning and added a question mark at the end of the sentence. Now, let's talk about how to form be verb questions in the present.
Continuous tense. So the structure is am, is, or are plus subject plus verb with ing.
For examples, is he waiting for you? We start with the be verb is because the subject here is he. You can answer yes, he is, or no, he isn't. Another examples, are you coming to class? Okay, that's it. Now,
Okay,
let's
thank
talk about the WH question form for the present continuous tense. The WH question like what, where, when, who, why, and how. What about the structure, Mrs. Horya?
Okay, so the structure is WH question, word, plus be, verb, plus subject, plus verb with ing.
Yes, let's look at some examples. For examples, what are you doing? We start with WH question and comes after the be verb, and after that you have the subject and then the verb with ing. Another example, when is it starting? That's it. Here we finished the present continuous tense.
Okay, so thank you,
Thank you,
everybody.
everybody.